Tonight, I'm going to share with you guys a conversation that I had with my mom some nights ago that reminds me of a topic that I've been meaning to put out here, but I kind of kept forgetting because I never got to write it down. I know a long time ago, but I don't remember what I called this video. I made mentions of paranormal stuff that happens that we cannot explain, and possibly the experiences that you might have versus the experiences that I just don't have, because I'm kind of bummed out that people claim to have had these experiences, but I just cannot say that I remember any or recognized any as paranormal. Maybe I just don't get out enough. I remember that I was going over the ones that I have heard from people I know over the years. Well, I don't remember ever sharing with you guys two stories that come from my great grandfather telling my mom about, and that one of those stories my mom remembers her mom confirmed. So the one I want to start off with has to do with a lady who died, and basically the circumstances of it was how she discovered that her husband was cheating on her, and I guess as a means to get back at him, she decided that her pain was just too much to bear, the shame of it, whatever it was, and she actually poured gasoline on herself and ended up setting herself ablaze. She ended up dying from her self inflicted injuries, and this, of course, happened right in front of the husband. And people say that even after she was, I guess, buried, that there were alleged sightings of her at nighttime, completely set on fire, strolling, and at times screaming the same kind of shriek that she let out as she was burning, that people could see her and they could hear her. She was just wandering around in the neighborhood. And then my mom says that she had an experience of such a sighting, but she wasn't sure of what she had seen. But then it turned out to be confirmed. So when I heard that, for me, there's no reason to question or believe that what I'm hearing is not true, because I have always made a mention of this in any conversation that I have pertaining to this matter. And a long time ago, when I used to do more topics like this on the channel, I remember saying that type of thing, that I do believe that it is possible for a soul to wander about without peace, and that you have to kind of help them transition into the next stage of their existence if they're no longer existing on this plane, whatever next plane they go to after this life is over. I do believe in that stuff. I just don't have very deep knowledge about it. Now, the second story, I think, would be probably more disturbing for me, but equally unsettling as the first one, at the very least. And the second story is about a crying baby. And the reason this baby ended up dying is because this baby was actually an aborted baby. So people were saying they could swear that at nighttime they could hear a baby crying in the distance, and people would chase the sound, follow the sound, and it would lead up to this tree. And this tree had an area of soil that seemed to have been disturbed. It was later discovered that this is the area where this aborted baby ended up being buried, possibly by the mother. And this is one of the stories that grandma put special emphasis on mom, saying that she could confirm that this story from great granddaddy was real. And I think that what my mom had questions about is that she herself, I think she said she also witnessed this crying baby herself and went to her grandfather about it, and then that's what he explained. But the issue with my great grandfather is that he had a habit of exaggerating his story, so sometimes he couldn't tell if he was being legit or if he was bullshitting. So grandma ended up saying that indeed this was a true story. And I think that this is the one that maybe mom experienced a little more closely, because she ended up mentioning it to great granddaddy one time, and she asked, well, how come it is that all of a sudden the baby stopped crying? What did you all do to help this baby stop crying? That's when she explained that members of the community got together and they performed some kind of prayer slash ritual that helped put this baby out of its situation. I think that maybe the reason this happened the way it did is because that child was possibly the result of like an out of wedlock kind of affair, if I remember the detail right. Of course, because it was also terminated, then this baby did not have its proper, I guess, transition from one area of life to another. I'm absolutely horrible, terrible, the worst at explaining this stuff, because I can only describe what others have ever told me to the best of what I can remember, because I just do not have experiences of my own to be able to illustrate to you guys like I do with my regular topics on the channel, where I can go like, and I can totally understand that because I have done or seen or gone through A, B, C, and D. But something like this, honest to God, I have never had instances like that. And I'm kind of happy that I don't have stories like that to talk about, because the last thing I need is to be like questioning the information that my eyes are transmitting to my noodle up here. But yeah, nonetheless, I think it's interesting, and I have more reason to believe it than not, only because I do think that there's stuff out there that our eyes cannot see to interpret properly, and who's to say that the manifestation of this thing isn't the way that it's described. So anyways, you guys, I thought I would share that story because I found it very interesting. And I do believe that if these traditions and rituals and prayers came from somewhere, if we still hear about them to this day and we inherited that stuff from our family members, wherever that originated, however that originated, why would we try to invalidate the fact that those things happened? Just because times have changed and it's been a long time of those customs origins, what is it, I guess, being practical or being a part of our everyday life, why would we try to invalidate it? See what I mean? What I'm trying to say is that whole discussion about how people argue about religion and how it's easier to not believe than to believe because there's evidence of the stuff that is present in religious contexts. It's easy to evidence that that stuff isn't happening versus what you can actually evidence that does happen. And I'm thinking, I don't think that's supposed to be the point. There's some stuff that you just gotta look at it, observe it, understand it, accept it, and perhaps try to connect it with your present as best as possible, but not necessarily as literally as possible. I'm gonna leave it at that because that's really all that I have to add at the moment. But if you guys want, we can create more topics like this, and I can try to see if other people have anecdotes like this to share and see if they connect in any way. As in, the way that people tell the story kind of relates to anything that we may have heard on our end. Well, that's it from me, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.